I hope you're ready for another fun day of comprehension. In comprehension, we've been learning about the sequence of events. Wonderful. Take your hands. Let's do it again together. It's the sequence of events, which is the order that something happens. We talked about the sequence or the order of making a peanut butter and jelly. Also, when you get dressed outside, there is an order that you put on your snow pants first, then your jacket, making sure you put on your boots before you put on your gloves. Make sure you zip up your jacket before you put on your gloves. All those things help us, and it's great to remember the order. Well, today is the second week of comprehension where we're talking about the sequence of events. And there were some special key words that we talked about that helped us remember the order. Today, we're going to read a really big book, and we're going to look for the order that things happen. So I need your smart brains right now, because today, when we read about the life cycle, let's say it with me, the life cycle of a frog. In science, we talked about the different cycles that leaves change colors, the different ways that they change and move, just like frogs have a different life cycle, different ways that they change and grow and look different in their life too. So I'm going to need some smart friends today, and I know we have lots of smart friends in our class. I need someone to tell me, what do you already know about the life cycle, so the way that maybe a frog changes or moves or grows of a frog? If you know something about the life cycle of a frog, raise your hand. Yes, what do you know? What do you know about frogs and the way that they change and they grow?
It goes tadpole. A tadpole is one leg, and then frog.
A tadpole, and you said something about legs, and then it grows into a frog. Wonderful! All of those different things are changing, which means that frog is changing and growing and becoming different in its cycle. Awesome, what do you know about frogs?
Some frogs can be called toads.
Sometimes frogs can be called toads, yeah. So anyone else know anything more about the life cycle of a frog? Aylin? Green. A lot of times you might see green or maybe some other colors too. Awesome. So before we learn about new ideas, it's always important to think, what do you already know? The second question we should ask ourselves is, what do I want to know? What kind of things do you want to know? What do you want to learn about the life cycle, the way that a frog changes, moves, and grows? So if you have an idea of what you want to know while we're reading about the life cycle of a frog, I would love to hear your idea. Wyatt, what do you want to know?
They have long legs.
What do you want to know? What question do you have?
How long can their legs be?
Oh, how long are their legs? Awesome. So these are things that we are wondering about frogs. All of these are questions. So they should have a question mark at the very end. Margot, what are you wondering?
Do they sleep on lily pads?
Do they sleep on lily pads? Ooh, that's a good question. Do they sleep on lily pads? Good, I'll take one more question. All of these are wondering more. Olive, what are you wondering?
Why when they're little they go in the water and then like it's kind of like your hand and they like kind of have front legs and back legs and then they kind of like swim like this.
Yeah, they kind of swim like this. So why do they swim the way that they do? Great question. Why do they swim like that? Wonderful job, friends. These are all great questions. So they are helping us. Oh, like that. All of these phrases, all of these sentences are questions, which means that we're wondering more. And it's asking questions, which is so great. Okay, we're going to start reading. Some of these questions might be answered. We might still have to wonder things and look up more after we read. So we're going to start by reading this book, The Life Cycle of a Frog. Up here on the very front, this is the front of the book. This is the back of the book. The front, this is the cover. Everyone say the front cover.
The front cover.
Up here is the title. Let's say the title.
The title.
Over here, this is the picture. Everyone say the picture.
The picture.
Now, when I open it up, right away, it has some important pictures to think about. This picture over here, this one, and this one. Those are all important pictures that this book wants us to be thinking about, which means they're probably important. Over here again, we have the title, The Life Cycle of a Frog. And we have the author, the person that it's written by. So this book is written by Margaret McNamara. Down here, this is called the Table of Contents. Can you say that with me? The Table of Contents. This table of contents is kind of like a big overview. It's a big ideas about what is going to be in this book. It tells us not every detail, but kind of the big idea, the main idea that we talked about of what this is going to be talking about in the book. So here it says, words to think about, the introduction, which is like the beginning of the book. Chapter 1, how does a frog begin? Already, just by reading the big ideas of this book, we're going to know what we're going to learn. Chapter 2, how does the tadpole grow? We know that we'll probably learn how the tadpole grows because it tells us in the table of contents. Chapter 3, what can an adult frog do? Here's another main idea or big idea that this book is going to tell us about. Then it says conclusion, which is like the very end. Or remember we talked about that sequencing word of finally. So it's going to tell us all the things we've learned. And then it tells us some more words in the back. All right, so if we start today, first it says words to think about. Over here, it has the word adult.
Adult.
It says an adult frog can live out of water. Over here, it has animals. Many animals live on Earth. That is the place where we live. It's the planet. We live on Earth. Eggs. These eggs will become frogs. These don't look like the eggs that come out of chickens that many people eat. These are frog eggs. Frog.
Frog.
This frog lives in a pond. Life cycle.
Life cycle.
A frog changes and grows during its life cycle, just like how trees and leaves change and grow during their life cycle. Tadpole.
Tadpole.
Say it one more time. Tadpole.
Tadpole.
A tadpole will become an adult frog. So we know that a tadpole is the name for something that will become an adult frog. So it's probably the baby frog. So now we're going to read chapter 1. We might answer some of our questions. We might also discover more about things we already know. Introduction. All animals, that was one of the words it told us about, have a life cycle. That was the word it told us about too. First, what's a sequencing word? We just talked about those last week. Oh, I see some friends really flashing their sequencing word fingers at me. First, animals begin life. So here it shows us a picture of the life cycle of a penguin. First, which means that we know that's where it's starting. It has the egg. Next, the egg hatches into a baby penguin. We follow the arrows, and the arrows go to the adult penguin. And then we see the adult penguin has the baby egg. That is showing us the life cycle of a penguin. We also see more pictures over here. Then, what's another sequencing word? Animals change and grow. Are you changing and growing every day?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you are. Just like animals are changing and growing too. Finally, that's another word. We know that that is at the end. Animals die. The life cycle of a cat. First, they have a baby cat in the mommy kitten or the mommy cat's tummy. Then the baby's born into a kitten or a baby cat. Then it grows into an adult cat, and the adult cat has a baby. So we saw that there's a couple different ways. Animals can be born out of an egg, or they can be born out of a tummy out of a mom. Over here. Then we can see different pictures. Here it has dots, which shows us the order. Just like words tell us the order, arrows show us the order, dots can also show us the order. First, we see some eggs. Remember, these eggs look a little different than these harder eggs. The eggs, we follow the arrow. Then remember what this baby's called? Yes, everyone say tadpole. Awesome, it goes to the tadpole. And then it goes to an adult frog. A frog is an animal. A frog has a life cycle. So just like all these animals have life cycles, frogs have life cycles too. All right, we're going to read one more chapter. That was just the introduction. So that was telling us all about what's going to be in this book and getting us ready to learn even more of this story. So now we are going to read chapter 1. How does a frog begin? Already, just by looking at the title of this chapter, this little part of the book, we know what we're going to learn. This book is also telling us facts. Can you say facts?
Facts.
So they're telling us things that are true. It's not a made-up story, but these are actually things that are happening. So right away, it says, a frog begins, you know that's right away, life as a tiny egg. The egg is one of many eggs. This circle is showing us that it's blown up. It's an even bigger view of all of these eggs. Look at all those eggs right there. Wow, look at them all. That is a lot of eggs that are together. A lot of them. Kind of. They're kind of connected together. Like slime. It looks like slime. After, so we know that first the frog begins life as a tiny egg. After our next, look at all the sequencing word fingers you have. After about a week, so that's all the way from Monday to Sunday, a tadpole, you heard that word, hatches from the egg. The tadpole lives in water and has a tail. And next it shows us a picture of the tadpole with the tail. Down here it says, a female leopard frog lays its eggs in water. Here's the little part of the leopard frog and all of the eggs. A tadpole cannot, sight word, live out of the water. The tadpole, which is the baby frog, breathes through its gills. Has anyone ever gone fishing? Give me a thumbs up if you've gone fishing before. If you've gone fishing and you've seen fish, they have gills on the side that helps them breathe. Just like a tadpole needs to stay in the water to breathe through its gills. So this right here is chapter 1. Tomorrow we're going to keep learning about chapter 2 to learn even more. But already we started to learn about how a frog begins and the life cycle of a frog. Just by reading all of these things about a frog, we were already listening to those sequencing words. So make sure, distance learning friends and friends at school, we're always learning and reading every day because you never know what you're going to learn about next. Have a great rest of your day and see you tomorrow.